We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
What is up, Cal fans? We are back with another episode of the Golden Bear Cast, a proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. And I am, as always, joined by my co-host, Rob. What's happening, my man, with the camera?
Woohoo! Just having a grand old time here.
Yeah, apparently. I'm surprised you've recovered so well because you were definitely very down, and I had a realization, which is I get to watch the 49ers, and you have to put up with Brandon Staley every week, and those are two very different realities.
Not true, though, because we're on a bye this week, so I didn't have the Chargers on Sunday.
Over under 6 more games for that guy being head coach.
Oh, God. I think the moment we're out of playoff contention is probably the moment he's fired. We're not mathematically out of playoff contention yet.
And give me this. Keenan, our boy Keenan, has been killing it.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's the effectiveness of the deep ball, right, with Mike Will. But the fact that Mike Will went out last week and we don't have a guy now to take the top off, like a real threat to take the top off a defense, is going to really hamper Keenan's ability to, like, work the underneath routes. It's going to suck. Someone's got to step up, but we'll see.
What about Josh Palmer?
Maybe, but he's not tall enough. Like, he's not that 6'4" guy that's, like, running the 4.3 40 down the sideline, right? Like, he's not that type of dude. Nor is he, like, I think the only undersized guys that could probably do that is, like, a guy like Tyreek Hill. Like, you need that type of Olympic speed. Otherwise, But
I still got my signed.
Yeah.
Keenan,
I do too. It's upstairs. It's not
right here. I need to frame this. It's just sitting here, a signed photo of Keenan sitting in this little plexiglass thing,
which we got for ridiculously cheap.
What was it, like $10?
It was like 10 or $11.
It was a deal.
It was a deal. It was an absolute deal.
All right, so we are here post a Saturday night showdown on the lovely Pac-12 network, which can never, for some reason, follow the freaking ball when there's a fake. I just want to say it. And I'm well aware of Jer Bear's comments that my tangents are not relevant to the down and distance and the field position and who had the ball. So let me try and think about this specific example. The down and distance was 1st and 10. Who had the ball? Oregon State. What was the play? The play doesn't matter. It's a fake to the running back. A play action. And guess what happens? The camera only focuses on the running back. And I'm like, dude, it wasn't that hard to follow. And it was like late third quarter, early fourth quarter. Second time I'm shouting out the time of the game. And the camera was completely unable to follow what was happening. 100%. I think it was like that deep pass down. Was it Bolden? it was deep pass downfield
Oh, to Gould?
to Gould.
Yeah.
And the camera is like looking at the Cal sideline as if it was distracted by a coach. Just like, what are you guys doing? My goodness. The Pac-12 and the fact it's just that the Pac-12 network is just the one thing, you know, the Office Space scene like that. The Pac-12 network is the printer. It is the printer. That's my intro.
That's your lead-in. All right.
That's my lead-in.
All right.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
What happened in the
great.
game, Rob? Tell me about it. Vibe check.
Vibe
How
check.
were the vibes in Berkeley?
The vibes in Berkeley weren't that bad. Like everyone was enjoying themselves. Like I think the homecoming weekend definitely helped, right? So there's lots of parents, lots of things happening. They had the big canopies and like the dining tables like out on Memorial Glade and in front of is it California Hall? Or is it what's the oldest building on campus? You know which one I'm talking about? The one that's like right next to Wheeler, whatever that building was called. What is gonna know me?
La Conte?
Is it LeConte? No, I don't think it's LeConte. LeConte seems like a newer name. Anyways, they had it all spread out there, like in front of the Campanile and everything. It was a good time. And the weather was great. It was like 85 degrees midday, right? So like tailgate started at 3. It was around like 83, 84. By the time kickoff happened, it was like diving into the mid 70s. And then midway through at halftime, it was like high 60s. Perfect day for a game of football.
How many people were there?
I think the attendance was listed. I can actually get you that right now.
I want listed and then your take.
Attendance listed was 34,930. I think my take is not by kickoff, but probably somewhere midway through the first quarter. I think attendance probably was in the 32 to 33 range.
Noticeably better than Arizona State.
Yeah. But, caveat, as I've been saying, is homecoming weekend, which means like how many friends, family, other people are visiting.
Somebody mentioned in the comments that we should just give away the tickets to these games. And I think we've talked about it on this podcast before.
Yeah.
That building relationships at the high school level, it would seem to me a very easy way to get people more excited and to get more recruits more open to Cal football would be to just getting them and their friends in the building on a consistent basis. I think that's a good take. I don't see the downside. If you're gonna be 50% full anyways, give away 25% of your capacity to just building those relationships and look at it as a community gift.
So here's the thing. Actually, I'm like 99% sure this is true.
Okay.
I can't confirm this, or I need to confirm this. But if someone who's listening to this knows the answer to this, please let us know, and I'd be happy to make the correction on our next podcast. But I believe I don't know what rule it is. It might be NCAA tampering rules or whatnot, but you are not allowed to give out free tickets, like just purely free. The only way that works, and I think this is kind of how it works with the women's basketball Schoolhouse Rock, right? Which is they have that midday game and they invite all the elementary schools in the area, middle schools in the area to come watch the game, and they fill the stands. Okay? I believe how that works is that someone is paying for those tickets. Some donor, some group, is purchasing those tickets that Cal Athletics is allowed to give out. That's how that works. So, if that's the case with that, I'm thinking that's probably why you can't do it for NCAA reasons as well with football, which means you would need somebody to come in and say, look, nothing's happening. Here's X amount of money that purchases the cost of all of these tickets in 2 sections, like give them out to local schools. I think that's what needs to happen. I'm pretty sure that's what needs to happen.
Of course.
Yeah. But I mean, from just a NCAA like rule standpoint, it makes sense because it's like, I mean, nothing makes sense with the NCAA anymore. But if you're looking at just the rules of like tampering and doing stuff for recruits. Like, who knows? One of those kids might be like a recruit down the line, right? Like if they're middle school or whatnot. And so, yeah.
Yes, I agree. Because we wouldn't want them to go and watch a football game because I'm sure that would seriously impact their mindset.
Absolutely, yeah. That a free ticket to one Saturday is definitely going to sway them to come to Berkeley. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why we can't do that.
So as far as homecoming goes, were there any notable guests that were coming back to Berkeley?
Not that I know of. I didn't see anyone on the sidelines that I was like, oh, I didn't expect him to be here or her to be here, or they to be here. I mean, Knowlton was there. Carol Christ was there, like on the field. Outside of that, they, of course, showcased because it's homecoming during the game, like a bunch of different like national championship winning teams and so on that had come back. One of the there was one notable one. They had Joe Cap's family in attendance, and because he had just passed away within the last 12 months, he was here for the big game. Just last year, and so to honor him, they had their family on the field, and they recognized them, and everyone gave a little like ovation to them during one of the timeouts, which I thought was very meaningful. But yeah, that's pretty much it. No one of note from my perspective.
Was Will there? My boy Will? Will Cap?
Might have been. I didn't get to see which of the family. There was a large group. Like it was, like a good 15 of them on the field. Cool. So I don't know like how many people or like who was who. They were on the other side of the field when I was filming. So
love it.
Yeah.
All right. So vibes are good.
Vibes are good. Vibes are good.
Let's go into the game.
Let's go into it. So Cal plays Oregon State homecoming game, the last Pac-12 homecoming game in our immediate future. Cal loses 52-40. Yikes. It was a tough one. But hey, Mr. Fernando Mendoza got his first start of the game. To be fair, I had heard whispers all week that he was going to play. I didn't know to what extent he was going to play. Only to get to the game. I got there early too because I wanted to see who would line up with the ones. And lo and behold, when they go out there for warm-ups, it's because they do this warm-up with the center, the quarterback, and the running back. And usually whoever those three are, you kind of know who the ones and twos are. So immediately when they go out there, it's Driscoll at center and Mendoza at quarterback and Ott at running back. And I'm like, oh, shit, he is starting today. So, yeah. Oregon State scored first. DJ Uiagalelei was absolutely outstanding in this game. He was, let's check his stats here real quick. 19-25, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a long of 38. Absolutely stellar. He had some passes that were just like, you can't defend that any better. They were just right into the pocket. OSU takes the lead 7-0 with a pass from Jack Veiling. And then the Bears claw back with a 20-yard field goal from Mateen Bagnani. And then Silas Bolden with an 11-yard pass from Aiden Childs, who's their backup. I don't know why he played. It's very strange to me.
Yeah.
They go up 14-3. Then Isaiah Ifanse scores. It's 14-10. Then Ifanse runs again and scores. And we're up 17-14 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Velling scores with a pass from Uiagalelei, 21-17 Oregon State. Then we go into the second half down 4. Josiah Irish scores from a 38-yard pass from DJ, and that's 28-17. Isaiah Ifanse with a 5-yard run. That gets us to 28-24. That was kind of the moment that we were like, oh, are we doing this? Are we doing this? And then Velling scores a 7-yard pass from DJ Uiagalelei again, 35-24. I'm like, I kind of felt that was the moment. I was like, I think we're going to lose. But then Jack Endry's 30-yard pass from Fernando Mendoza. The game's 35-32 after a 2-yard or after a 2-point conversion with a pass to Jeremiah Hunter gets us within 3. Then Damian Martinez runs it in for one. It's 42-32. Then Isaac Hodgins, 2-yard pass, 49-32. Then Atticus Abington with a 32-yard field goal, 52-32. And then in garbage time with about a minute left, Javen Thomas with a 9-yard run to make it 52-40. That's pretty much it. In terms of overall stats, net rushing, Cal 241, OSU 203. We actually held OSU under their season average. Net passing, Cal 207, OSU 296. That's 10.6 yards per attempt for Oregon State and 6.5 yards per attempt for Cal. The big, I think, deciding stat here, third down conversions. Oregon State 6 of 13, Cal 5 of 10. But Oregon State 5 of 5 on fourth down conversions, Cal 0 of 1. So stopping them on third down was meaningless because we gave them the next set of downs on fourth down.
Mm-hmm. Was it like 12 of 16 on third and fourth down?
It was 11 of 18. 11 of 18 on third or fourth down conversions. That's
the second half of the game was defined by our inability to get off the field. And then a couple of late mistakes, I would say, with the Stredick fumble and the Mendoza interception where he threw it. That was like, I didn't really understand that pass because that ball has to be on the opposite shoulder towards the sideline, and he threw it inside. So I wasn't really sure. But
I actually just got a text from Peter, who's rewatching the game and breaking down the plays right now. He said Mendoza's shoulder did get hit on that throw, which is why it was left short.
Okay. That makes sense.
The one last stat I'll read to you that's, I think, also of note, red zone scoring chances. That's one of the things that we've been talking about with this offense for Cal in particular. Oregon State went 7 of 7 in the red zone. Cal went 5 of 5 in the red zone. So we scored on every single chance we got in there with 4 touchdowns and 1 field goal. They were 6 touchdowns and 1 field goal. And that's pretty much it. You want to talk? What did you think about the game?
I think that the first quarter we left a lot out on the field. Whether it was, I think we punted when we were in Oregon State field, like in their territory. And then we also had a fourth down conversion that we didn't get. Is that sounding right?
California, let's see. We lost it on downs to start on their 47. We punted on Oregon State's 38.
Yeah.
That was the second drive.
I just felt like, and then even for the field goal, we had opportunities there to get 7, and we ultimately ended up settling for the 3.
Yeah. On Oregon State's 3.
On their 3-yard line. I don't know, man. I kind of feel like we didn't understand the assignment. Like that we weren't playing with that energy. We almost had a level of, maybe we expected that we were going to win that game. I wish we had treated it more like the Arizona State team treated us.
Yeah, we got to throw everything, like just throw the kitchen sink.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
But I think, and we've seen that from Wilcox in the UCLA game of last year, when things are already out of hand, he's much more willing to say, hey, like, we'll play the role of underdog and upset here.
Yeah, nothing to lose mentality, right?
And I just don't think he had that. But it just struck me how much the first quarter impacted the end of that game when our defense was just getting demolished by, I think, ultimately that Oregon State offensive line, which was something that you mentioned on the Utah podcast, which is a little bit of a Easter egg for our fans here, that we were on a Utah podcast no more than 30 minutes ago. But when rewatching the game, the first quarter mattered so much. We didn't take advantage of those opportunities that were in front of us. And I just, knowing that what the outcome was going to be, sort of looked at that and was like, yeah, those mattered a lot. And you just can't we should have known, we just can't get 3 points against Jonathan Smith team, it's just not a sustainable strategy. And I think I would have preferred to see when you're on their 3-yard line. I understand we want to have points on the board, and it's hard to argue with the results because we did end up taking the lead at 17-14. To me, you go for the end zone there, and I think that could come back to bite you in a way because your defense wasn't necessarily playing well all game long, but you just gotta take your shot. When you're there, you gotta take your shot. And I think you're seeing it. It's a trend across the NFL. Any coach who's not doing that is getting crucified after. So we need to adapt to that when we're playing a top 15 opponent, whether we think we're an underdog or not. We should be honest with ourselves about the reality of the situation. And so I hope that we, against SC, have a little bit more of that gung-ho attitude towards, like, let's just try and make something happen. And I'm going to save the most important talking point, so I'm going to sort of sit on it. I think that the end of the game, the fourth quarter, when it was 35-32, and it gets really close, and man, we're driving downfield, running the ball super well. Stredic gets hit from behind, fumbles. Defense can't get off the field, can't get a stop on fourth down, and then the game gets put out of reach, and then the interception. I believe it was in that order. So it was the fumble first, then the interception after. Yep. It was just devastating because I do think if you hang around a little bit more, does that force Oregon State to flinch? I don't think so. I mean, we were just getting absolutely torched. And so I guess, Rob, I'll put this over to you. Like, what do you think happened defensively? Because Wilcox was furious.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Wilcox looks at this and is just like, well, damn it. Like we said, my offense sucked. So I went and got a new offensive coordinator. And then my offensive coordinator is better. But now my defense sucks. So now and I don't mean that's way an exaggeration. I really don't think this Cal defense is bad or by any means. And I'm not trying to call out any players, but it's got to be frustrating as a coach when you're like, I'm putting out a fire over here, which is the offense. Cool, we've got that solved. We're going to put up, enough points to be able to beat Oregon State. Oh, but great. It's like special teams is still on fire. And I think some writers would point to that and say that, hey, that is his fault. He hasn't prioritized it in special teams enough. They don't actually have a special teams coach. Hear that, all valid. And then you're looking at defense and you're like, okay, now our defense is a problem. Now we have a fire over here. We have to do this. And that is the job of a coach of a college football team. But there aren't always fires at all the same time. So
I honestly don't know what happened with defense. I think I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, but let me phrase it this way. We were just on the Utah podcast, and if you haven't listened to that, go listen to that podcast. We'll have it linked on our Twitter page once that drops. But we were talking about Sonny Dykes a little bit, right? And kind of the whole flip of the script between Sonny and Wilcox was that offense and defense switch. And remember, you and I both, like during the Sonny years, when our offense was down and we needed to score, right? Or the offense wasn't clicking, every new drive, we were kind of like, okay, I think this might be the drive that our offense gets together. I think this might be it. Defensively, I think over the last 6 years, we've kind of grown to, this is where we get our defensive stop. It's coming. It's definitely coming. We never got that this game. It always felt like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. But no, it never came. Like I'm looking at Oregon State's drive chart, and it's like touchdown, 9 plays, punt. So the punt on 3 plays, in the first quarter. But then after that, touchdown, 4 plays, fumble, and then we recovered. But then touchdown, 11 plays, half, touchdown, 3 plays, touchdown, 9 plays, touchdown, 9 plays, touchdown, 4 plays, field goal, 16 plays, and then end of the game. Yeah. So it just felt like that moment never came where it was like, okay, I'm not expecting us to go and punch these guys and go 3 and out on their first when they get the ball. But how this defense has played all season long is like maybe they go like 8 and out, right? Or 7 and out. Like that's kind of the vibes that they had been going with. But no, we were just like bleeding yards and touchdowns through all of that. Granted, the run game was actually not that bad, right? I think the thing we all said, or the stats said, that we were going to play a pretty good run game against them, which we ended up doing. 4.7 yards per carry. I'm trying to look up if there was the adjusted, but I guess I can't find it. Yeah, so 4.7 yards per carry. We averaged 7.3 on their defense, which is arguably another top 10 rushing defense. So, but anyways, yeah, that moment never came. And that's the big thing, is I think that's also why Wilcox was pissed. And look, I know everyone gives Wilcox so much flack for like, doing the coach speak stuff. But if you go back and watch this presser, this is one of those where like he starts off with, this is how I know Wilcox's coach speak stuff is not just like insincere coach speak. Like it's actually genuine. Because when he's talking about the defense, like he talks about, we weren't playing great and all that. And he says, one side of the ball played well today, the other side didn't. And then he goes, like, what was the reasoning? And he goes, and he rattles off all of the downs and distances in which the defense failed to stop the offense.
Yep.
Which was wild. The game had just ended, and he remembered every single one. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
And then
I thought it was one of his best press conferences.
Yeah, and then he's like, this is also how like he's such a good like football mind to talk to. He like without even pausing breaks down the moments that the defense broke. He's like, we had a misassignment, on a go route, or like there was a crossing route where we like missed it, or like when we're playing man, like he's talking you through all the football mistakes that they made.
Yeah, at one point he's like, well, for those of you that like know football.
Yeah.
What did he say? He basically said that the corner was playing on a hitch.
Yep.
It was like a hitch route or a stop route, and they had corner playing.
He said something, yeah.
Yeah, it was playing something. He's like, if you know football, you know that play should go nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was working, and they were getting yards off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times he kind of comes in and says things like, "Yeah, it's our job. We didn't play well enough. We got to coach up better. It's on the coaches. It's on me. It's on everybody else to coach better so that these players can be in a position to
succeed."
And this was more of just him as a competitor being like, we schemed well enough to win, and we didn't because of an area of strength. And I honestly think some of that is just like, dude, like what the actual hell? Like, just look over here. I spend my attention on the offense. We finally get that solved with the quarterback situation. And our defense has this game where they can't get off the field. And it must be hard. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I thought he had the appropriate call out too. He's like, yeah, it's hard to play defense when your opponent is starting every damn drive from their 40-yard line or better. And that was appropriate.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, somebody's job is getting a little bit hot right now. I guess before we get into the quarterback stuff, I do want to talk about one potential scenario that you'll kill me for doing, but I'm just going to put it out there.
Oh, lovely.
It's completely unrealistic because of everything that's going on with Cal, but I don't know if I even want to say it. Dramatic pause.
Yeah, dramatic pause. Are we punting on that point?
Let me just say it more broadly than I was going to say it. So let's just remove Cal from the situation. What are the odds that Jonathan Smith is at Oregon State next season?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I mean, the whole alma mater thing has to play a big part of it, right? It's like, I think that's a big difference between like some random coach like Dickert, right, at Washington State.
Right.
I think we can make the same point, but like the alma mater thing isn't applicable to Dickert. So if a Big 12 team came calling, like, would he jump ship?
I forgot 30 million. I gotta imagine he would be. I'm just shocked that he's not getting.
I mean, who knows? He might. This is probably his best season at Oregon State.
And it's been every single year better, 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 better. I mean, the type of building of a program that you would think somebody would be looking at. Who knows? You know, I mean,
yeah.
I was gonna say Nebraska.
Oh yeah. But who knows? Nebraska might be good under Matt Rule, but it's going to be a few years.
It's going to be a few years. I just think they were a really well coached offense. And I thought Wilcox also brought that up and said and pointed out all the things they do really well. I just think that ultimately I have a feeling the game went somewhat according to plan for what Cal was prepared to see, and they just simply didn't execute it. Yep. And that's got to be one of the most frustrating things. Like, you basically did all of the work to have the outcome that you need. The only thing you need was just sort of the baseline level of execution in order to achieve that outcome, and you don't get that. And so I imagine as a coach, those are some of the hardest losses, because like it was right there. It was literally right there.
Yeah, like, you know, they asked like Spav a couple weeks ago. They're like, "Are there any calls you'd love to have back?" And he's like, he said something along the lines of like, "Yeah, there's like three. There's like three in there that I would love to have back." I wonder if you ask Wilcox the same thing in terms of the game plan, or Sermon, the game plan for the defense and the play calling for the defense, if they genuinely can say like there are more than a handful of plays that they would want back. Like that, it feels like when they saw the play develop and the defense that they had called, it was like, yeah, we got him. And then he busts for like a 31-yard, pass down the sideline. And you're like, damn it. You're like, oh, we got him. And then it's like another like 15-yard pass over the middle. Like it felt like one of those where like, damn it. Like it's like Battleship. Like I feel like I'm hitting all their boats, but why does it feel like they have 10 more boats than I do? Like that's kind of the feel I get from this game.
10 points for the Battleship reference.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
But yeah, I guess we got to talk about the quarterback a little bit, right?
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh boy. Fernando Mendoza. Man, that kid. The only person I've ever had the privilege of talking to that calls me sir. Absolutely, it's just ingrained in him. I absolutely love it. Nick, I think, is gonna be singing his version of his Fernando chant on the Right for California Premium podcast. I have been creating one for him for the last like year in the off chance he plays, which is built off of Manchester United's song for Ronaldo, which makes it just fits perfectly with the syllables of his name. So we're going to do this. We're going to sing this because hopefully this catches fire, and this is the song we sing every time he scores a touchdown, right? So like the original song goes, Viva Ronaldo, running down the wing, hear United sing, Viva Ronaldo. And you just keep singing that as people are jumping up and down, right? But you have a California version where it's like, Viva Fernando, running down the wing, California sings, Viva Fernando. Can you imagine if the entire like student section or the stadium is singing that as he scores a touchdown? Like, brilliance. Peak fandom at its greatest.
That's amazing. Well done.
Thank you. I will take all of the SoundCloud money and ad money that you can possibly throw my way for me singing that song.
And now let me give you Fernando by ABBA.
That's Nick's. Is
it?
That's Nick's, yeah.
Okay.
Or I think it's what's the ABBA song, By Midnight? He recreated he rewrote the lyrics to that to make it Fernando.
Wait, was it
Yeah.
By Midnight?
Yeah. It's something by midnight, right? The ABBA song?
The gimme, a man
Yeah,
after midnight.
yeah.
Gimme, a man after midnight. The ABBA song is "Can You Hear the Drums, Fernando?"
Yeah,
I remember long ago, another starry night like this, in the firelight, Fernando.
So good. So good. So good. Oh man, absolutely brilliant. All right, but let's talk about Fernando a little bit, all right? Do you want to go big picture quarterback look, or do you want to talk about Fernando first?
Fernando first.
Fernando first. All right. I think Fernando probably had one of the best performances from a first start perspective, opponent adjusted, that I can think of. You're playing probably the best defense that the Cal offense as a whole has faced all season long. And he comes in there and, outside of the one interception, which we look back now and got his shoulder hit as he threw. So it's not really a bad placement. It's just the ball got floated because he was throwing it as he was hit. But 21 of 32, 207 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I think he was solid. I think he did everything that we wanted out of this offense. I think one of the things that you and I both have been clamoring for was to see a quarterback maybe go through his reads. Fernando was doing that. Fernando was was quick in his reads too. He moved on from his first read to his second fairly quickly, and he found the open guys. He was very smart with the ball too. A bunch of times where he would throw it away, or he would just chuck it into the ground, at the line of scrimmage, because after a rollout. I remember that one specifically because it happened right in front of me. And so, yeah, I think he played well. There's going to be questions about what his ceiling is and what else he can do and so on. We haven't seen a play from him yet where we point to that and go, that's his ceiling. They didn't let him rip balls down the sideline. He was very much a game manager. I think the big comp that Peter and I have been talking about is he kind of feels a little bit like Brock Purdy last year.
You're gonna say my boy. I knew it was coming.
It's he kind of has that same type of feel. He has the legs to give you a little bit of an extension of plays, but it's not the burner that a Trey Lance or a Sam Jackson is going to give you. But he goes through his reads quickly. He makes all the intermediate passes that you need him to, and you didn't really necessarily give him a shot or need him to throw deep. I do want to see him throw deep because I want to see what that looks like, and maybe that comes against Utah this week. Who knows? But yeah, in terms of a debut for a sophomore at home, I think there's not a lot that can beat this one.
Rob, you've seen Fernando in 2 fall camps.
Yeah.
So what have you seen in those fall camps?
Well, the first one is kind of a push just because he's a freshman. He's learning the playbook. He's barely getting any snaps in, right? Last year they were just pushing Plummer and Kai. That was the 1-2 that they were pushing all fall camp. I will say, though, I went back through my notes. I actually did this today. One interesting thing of note that I realized that I didn't realize until now. Most of Fernando's best plays or moments in camp and spring ball came in 11-on-11s. From what I had written down, it wasn't in the 1-on-1s. It wasn't in the 7-on-7s. His best situations were when they were in fastball or when they were in live periods with 2-hand touch. So how do I interpret that? Fernando might be just a gamer. He might be a dude who looks better in a game than he does in just practice drills. That's kind of my takeaway from from looking at my notes the last two camps.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
I think that's very interesting to hear about that he showed best in 11 on 11s. The I'm trying to think of like how I want to say this. I think let's start with some positives. You're absolutely plus oneing the point that you made around him running the offense, going through his reads, letting plays develop in front of him. He also stayed in the pocket far more than Jackson has. And it's like one of the things that I think Finley did as well. And so did Jack Plummer. It's just a tendency to hang out in the pocket a little bit more. I thought like his arm looked pretty solid, delivered a good ball. Ball comes out pretty fast, good pace on it. I totally agree with the Brock Purdy comp in regards to, Purdy just throws these like little medium range fastballs and it has great touch. I also thought that we finally got to see the Spavital offense run for we kind of saw it in North Texas, but since North Texas, we haven't really seen it. I feel like we finally got to see like what that RPO does to a defense, right? When he was, had that big play, I think it was right before the Stredick fumble.
Yeah.
Where he like tucked it. And I think that was a big explosive play up the right sideline. That was just a brilliant example of what we have to, or the stress that we put on defenses. Do I have to cue in on the quarterback as a runner? Do I have to cue in on the running back? Is he going to pull the ball and throw it? Is he going to roll out and throw it? I mean, just all of those different things that you have to, it just keeps the defense guessing. And we just haven't seen it. We didn't see that at all with Musgrave. So that was, it was incredible to kind of see it and see it working. It's a bummer that those turnovers at the end of the game sort of prevented us from seeing a closer finish. I would have loved to get even more game tape. I think I'm being greedy here, but I just feel like it would have, especially with the pressure on the line too. But I think that one of the biggest positives that I could spin here is just the development, especially with somebody like Spavital. If you look long term, and we go back to previous podcasts and we talk about the risks that are involved with sort of these transfer portal quarterbacks that come in, want to get playing time. Are they likely to go and transfer again? Or is there NIL money waiting for them elsewhere that sort of tempts them to leave? You got to think with like somebody like Mendoza, who's a 2-star, 3-star on some recruiting sites, gets this offer from Cal, flips from Yale, comes here. I mean, I don't want to speak this into existence in a negative way, but like in a sense of jinxing it. But you got to imagine that he would be fairly loyal to this program. And so then if you start looking at development there, unlike some of the things that I've said about whether it be Ben Finley or Sam Jackson, you sort of have a path of development and consistency there where you said, hey, if we could lock this guy in for 3 years, he's 6'5". He's got he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's got enough legs to execute what we need to do on offense. Got a good, has seemingly can throw a good ball almost anywhere across the field. To your point, would love to see some longer passes, and then also good vision, good decision making, doesn't get flustered by the moment, meets the moment, especially against an Oregon State defense. I mean, all of those are overwhelmingly positive. And it seems like there is some semblance of stability finally at the quarterback spot where you can say, great, we know who we're going to see next week.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to say that all year.
Nope. Or we thought we did.
Yeah, we thought we did. And because of how I set this up, there's a negative coming along with this,
yes,
which is I
but.
think that he still looked pretty young to me.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that I was most impressed by Ben Finley running this offense. Oh, man. Hopefully one day I'll stop saying that. But
well, once Fernando beats Utah, you'll stop saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's great. I think we should all have a lot of enthusiasm for it. It looked good. It looked good on the replay. When I watched it yesterday, I think there's a lot of positives with it. And I just ultimately think the one big question I have is just an experience level. And so if you see, to your point and to Peter's point, if it is a Purdy progression where the growth can happen in the game, I'm all in. That's that's my only concern. As Ben Finley didn't look young out there. And I know that's what you're how could you possibly say that? He threw the ball to the middle linebacker to go run it in for a touchdown. I just think he had confidence though. It just didn't, I didn't get the sense. And there was a little bit of that. I just felt like I saw some of the age show itself towards the end of the game, right after the interception. But as far as everything else, I mean, it sounds like he's the most popular guy on the team. Everybody loves him, treats you with respect, Rob, as a reporter, photographer, which I think matters so much. And those are our favorite players, right? Giorgio Tavecchio, the absolute most humble, nice, down to earth, very, very respectful to everyone, all the way down to anybody that worked with the team. I mean, I would love to root for a guy like that. And I'm very excited about the potential too, because he just has the big thing we keep coming back to is Sam. Sam doesn't have the height. You can't coach height. Well, Fernando is going to have no problem. 6'5".
Yep.
Not a problem.
Dude is huge.
Huge.
Yeah, I think, look, you know how we talked about this earlier in the pod, right? We talked about how we kind of were hoping and kind of felt rest assured of the defensive stop is coming, right? The defensive stop is coming. The adjustment is coming. The defensive stop is coming just because of how our defensive have played traditionally. That was the thing with Mendoza when I was watching the game. I was like, where is the freshman error? When is it coming? Because if he doesn't have a freshman error in this game, we're winning this for sure. But there's rarely been a game where a freshman quarterback comes in like that and doesn't make that freshman error, especially in his first game. And when's that coming? When is that coming? When is that coming? And I think we also talked about the circumstance of the interception, but I think that interception is the moment. And that's kind of the mishap right there. And that's the moment that turned the game around.
And I think to me, it was really the Stredick play the Stredick play put the game out of reach.
Yeah, it did.
It was just the interception would have been is there the interception was, is there a possibility that we come back in this game? And there was no, okay, cool. But the Stredick play was answering the question of, are we in this for real?
Yeah.
And I mean, we definitely were at 35-32.
We definitely. Yeah. They were scared too. They definitely were scared.
Everyone on their defense was scared, and everyone on their offense was not.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there was also that moment of like, because I'm seeing this from the sidelines or from like the sideline, the end zone, right? I remember distinctly after the Shreddick fumble, Mendoza is, as the offense is coming off the field, is standing at the hash mark and like clapping and trying to pump up every single offensive player that's exiting the field. Right? Those are positive signs, and those are things you want to see from a young quarterback without having to teach it.
Yeah, agree. Good call out.
I will say another part was like if you go back and watch some of the. Actually, I might have a picture. Do I have a picture of this? No, I don't. It might be on Cal Athletics or Cal Football. But there's like when Mendoza goes back to the sideline after his first touchdown, one of the first people to congratulate him is Sam Jackson. I think
good vibes.
I think that's. I mean, Sam's amazingly like kind, a very well-mannered. Like the dude is like probably a super good teammate. The one I saw, I don't, and not a lot of people will have seen this. After halftime, it's a timeout. You know, the student section did their card stunts, and of course, with drunken students and all that, they're like throwing the card stunt papers, you know, as far as they can throw it forward.
Paper airplanes, as is tradition.
But not paper airplanes. They're just chucking it, and it's just like just square paper just running. But anyways.
Oh, you're talking about when they throw it up?
No. This is like after the card stunts. This is like into the third quarter.
Now they're just balling them up and chucking them.
They're not even balling them. They're just like throwing them like this, just like
what?
Like ninja starring them.
Wow.
Anyways,
kids these days.
Yeah. Anyways, a few of them land on the field like right in front of the Cal sideline, and the first person to go out there at so the ball's like the play's happening down at the 20, right? And I guess the ball lands somewhere around the 40. The papers like land somewhere around the 45. Something happens. I think it was a timeout or a change of possession or something. And they're all coming to the sideline. The person that goes out there to pick up those pieces of paper, Sam Jackson. He was like watching from the sideline, sees the papers hit the ground, goes out there, grabs all of them, and comes back to the sideline and like puts them down. Because, you know, like any of those things you keep it out there, guys running down the field, you know, and it's still there. You slip on it, that's a down instead of a touchdown. And so I just thought it was like, because Sam always stands in the very back. Like that's his thing. Like that's how he sees the entire field. So he just stands at the very, like if the offense is going south, like he'll stand at the very north side of the sideline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was like, I wanted to mention that on the pod because those are things that you're not going to see in the game, or even if you're just like watching at the stadium, like you're probably tuned out in those specific moments. But like it was just a really nice little, just like mannerism to see from Sam.
I love that.
Yeah. Is that it for Mendoza?
I think that's it.
I think
we'll
that's
see
it
more
for
this
Mendoza.
week.
Yeah. Look, can we take a couple minutes and just talk about kind of your thoughts on the whole process? Because it feels like Mendoza is the guy going forward for the foreseeable future, right? Do you have any takes on how this process has unfolded over the last 5 weeks or 6 weeks into getting to Mendoza and getting this quarterback in?
At this present moment, I have to say my initial reaction to it was that it was kind of like good on you, Wilcox, Spav, for continuously keeping this thing open. And some people may completely disagree with that. You just stick with one quarterback and go with them and let them develop. But if they weren't seeing what they needed to see for this offense to be run, and we finally got to see it and what the potential of that was, and against one of the better defenses in the conference, we go and put up, you know, I think you can say, I don't know how you want to deal with the last touchdown.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to say 32, but the 32 is enough to win.
Yeah.
If that's all we were going to put up, or maybe you say, okay, it would have been 35 if the game was closer. something like that, and you left a couple of chances on the field. 30 to 40 points a game is kind of all we've ever said. That's all I've ever asked for. We're not trying to ask for drop 50, despite the fact that it's super fun. But we have long said 30 to 40 points with a Wilcox defense should be enough to win 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them, I think, leaving this competition open to get there. To be able to then see, okay, this is this offense running at 83% of what we want it to be. That's my guess. And then you would probably work in a little bit more of a passing game to alleviate some of the running game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily fault the process. Now, here's how you can in the future state is if Utah goes poorly and it opens back up again, and then now it's Finley, and then and then it's Sam, and then it's Fernando, and then it's just a clusterfuck all season long.
Yeah.
And so I think at this point, you've tinkered enough. You've tried this, didn't work. You've tried this, injured. Tried this again, didn't work as well as you wanted it to. Tried this, good success. All right, run with it. And as long as that keeps going a positive direction, now I can turn my head towards, great. D-line, why do we have no sacks? I'm stealing your stat. D-line, what the actual hell is happening?
We don't know. Yeah, I think I'm on board with basically all you said. I think the one or two things I might add on top of that is like, here's a pseudo like timeline hot take here. If Sam doesn't get hurt in that North Texas game, I think he's our starter right now, barring injury. I think they would have.
Chance.
I think they would have rode out with him.
No chance.
But it's the fact that he got hurt in the North Texas game, and Finley played a pretty decent, 2.5 quarters, and then he gets the start at Auburn. Doesn't play that well. So here's my timeline of how this thing's went down, right? Post-injury, North Texas injury, Ben Finley plays well in the North Texas game. Warrants the start because Sam's also hurt, right? So he starts Auburn. Plays through. Sam is there in terms of break of emergency. It does become a break of emergency situation because the offense is anemic. And then Sam plays, and the first thing he does is he goes in and the offense scores. And then so now they say, okay, Sam, you get the start. So he plays the entire Idaho State game, except for I think 2 plays when he got a little hurt and Finley came in for a little bit. But outside that, played the majority of that Idaho game. Washington game comes around. I have no idea what happened in that Washington game, that decision to play Finley there and not Sam. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Your timeline is ruined.
Yeah, but if we remove that, then it goes back to the same. If it goes back to the same circumstance, right? Because then you play Sam again for the whole game at Arizona State, and not bad, but not great either. And then you come into this game and you're like, well, okay, we've given everyone else a chance. Let's see what Mendoza can do. And I think that's kind of how they got to Mendoza. And for the people that have been saying, why didn't they play Mendoza from the start? Let me tell you, and this is not a knock on Mendoza. Maybe he's improved over the last 5 weeks of practices during the season. But it was clear Finley and Jackson were ahead of him going into camp or going into week 1. It was clear that it was one of the 2 guys. So that's probably why they didn't play him in the first 2 or 3 games. Because the entire 2 weeks, the week before the North Texas game, all the way up until probably after Auburn, they're probably only giving the snaps strictly to, or the first team snaps strictly to Jackson and Finley.
You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo or honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker out there, you can try spicy ghost pepper, only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. Listen, I'm going to dare you to do it. I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs that you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and then grab a few more napkins and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
I don't know if I'm necessarily along on that ride, because I think that it was probably because of how tight it was in fall camp and how much it's one thing for Wilcox to come out and be like, Sam's hurt, but he's the starter until proven otherwise. And it's another to come out and be like, yeah, we need more from the quarterback position. I just felt like we heard that too often. There's just so many misreads, misplays that were working. He's like pointing out things. He's like, dude, we got to hit that wheel right. Wheel rout's wide open. And it's right there. And he's just not hitting it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just like not, it just isn't, you don't say that if you have an entrenched starter. We never heard that with Jack Plummer. Ever. Yeah. And so I just think that, I don't think Sam's position was all that secure. I just maybe think that it was like a really tight camp. And that's what we did hear that from you and like the camp reporters and then spring, that there really wasn't anyone that necessarily was like all that far ahead of each other. I think it was a main contributor to the anxiety of fans was that there wasn't a clear-cut starter. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's great if we bring all 3 back. It's great if we bring 2 out of the 3 back. And it's particularly good because we're going into the ACC where people just don't have that much game tape. I did hear that as an argument against Mendoza, which is they had no game tape on him whatsoever, no tendencies, anything like that. Now you have Utah that has game tape. Be interesting to see what happens. I was like, okay, that could be valid. Could be valid. But I don't know if it's like a total, like, okay, you kind of knew what we like to do on offense. Yeah. And I don't know. In baseball, I can see it. Okay, yeah, we'd never seen this pitcher before. We get pulled up from AAA, throws a sinker and got weird movement and maybe gets away with giving up 2 runs and, you know, having a good day. That happens quite a bit now. But in football, you're not exactly like seeing, I don't know, pick your NFL team that's putting in a backup quarterback and the other team being like, yeah, we were totally ready to play the Colts, but Gardner Minshew came in and we had no idea what to expect. That's just like not a thing.
I say what we do is we send a defensive lineman from the dugout running to a pitcher during the pitch clock, and he has to get that pitch off before the pitch clock, and let's see his anxiety start to build and if he can actually throw the balls that he's normally throwing. Probably not.
That would make for a very entertaining addition to baseball games. If at the 0 mark,
you're getting tackled.
Yeah, that's great.
You're getting tackled at 0.
I'm in favor of that.
I think that's as good as we're going to get in terms of the talk about this game and all that. We have some reader questions, Andy. We didn't get to them last week, so I did tell everyone on Twitter that we're going to get to these. And if I also said if some of these don't apply, we're just going to kind of move on. But I'm still going to read them all for you just so we get to it. All right. So we got the first one from Kicker. What do you think has been the reason why we can't drop 50? Bad play calling, bad QB decision making, bad O-line play, lack of great recruits, or a combination of things? I think that kind of still applies.
I don't think there was any reason why we couldn't have scored 50 points this last week other than the first quarter. Like, if you convert, you don't punt from their 37. Yeah. You convert on the 4th down, or even that 3rd down, which was a 3rd and 2. Like, there was 3rd and short, and then 4th and short. You don't convert on either of those. You kick a field goal instead of getting a touchdown. You're right up there. I think we had the chance. And I think if you're on the offensive side, you're like, yeah, you guys played well, but you left literal points on the field. But as far as my attention, Wilcox, like 90% of it is going to the defense, and that's my 10% take for the offense.
Yep.
I don't think that 50 is that far away. We just needed to have somebody that can actually run this offense in order to be able to do it. And then that eases up on the running backs. Now, of course, like health is going to matter a lot. If Jaden is hurt, then, Javian Thomas looks good. He's speedy, but he's tiny. He's a tiny little guy.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Afonso, Stredick, and Jet. I don't know, man. Like,
well, JWT as well.
Okay, fair enough.
Who's now healthy and suiting up for games. So they said he was a full participant in practice starting last week. So maybe we see him in the coming weeks.
Well, that's good. So I think maintaining health there would be great from the running back side, but
yeah,
I don't think there's anything that's necessarily like holding us back. I wouldn't expect it for Utah, but I'm thinking like Washington State, Stanford. You have a legit shot, drop 50 both of those games. Washington State's good, but they have a good defense. But I think I don't know, game flow. I see that as a realistic possibility. SC really doesn't. SC's defense doesn't look good at all. So I'm also in favor of saying I think if Arizona can do it, then I think that this team can do it as well. And I do think there's a potential for 35, 40 points going forward. And in most of the games we have left on our schedule, outside of Oregon and Utah.
I concur. I think the only caveat for that for me would be Vadakani getting carted off last game doesn't bode well for us whatsoever. So it'll be interesting to see what the offensive line looks like going into Utah, and also rotation wise, who's coming out and who's being plugged in. I'm assuming it'll be Wyckoff and Swinney at the guard spots. And then you just have Sessions and Miller at the tackles with Driscoll at center. But that we're starting to lose depth there, and that's the big issue.
I think Vadakani's out for the year. Sadly.
Fingers crossed. Next one is from Kicker. Does Cal need to hire a dedicated special teams coach? If so, which coach would likely have to be let go, or should Cal keep things the way they are? Technically, they do by designation. Vic Soto is the special teams coach and outside linebackers. Usually, a special teams coach isn't dedicated, right? They do work with a position. Which coach would? Look. The easy answer here is probably the position that has two coaches. The defensive backs have two coaches. And if you want balance to your squad, that's probably where you make the move to open up one of the slots to hire a special teams coordinator. But yeah, that's probably it right now.
Also, if I'm Vic Soto, my job's hot. My seat's hot. Your outside linebackers in special teams, we have 0 sacks and our special teams garbage.
Yeah.
that seat's hot right now.
Yeah, that seat's real hot. All right, Brandon Duff, thoughts on the quarterback situation this week in particular? Jackson seemed rather a maniac in the pocket. Is a reps issue? Well, we got that solved, so I don't think we need to talk about the quarterbacks. Sid tweeted at us last week. I'll take a win. Who do you think will win the QB spot? Also, these next weeks are far by the toughest, but I feel like we could pull off an upset. My money is on Utah or OSU. Well, Sid, it's not OSU. So hopefully it's Utah. And I think we found our winner at the quarterback spot. By the way, if you didn't know, Andy, so apparently Sid's sister goes to UW. So she's heading up to watch the UW Oregon game because they have college game day there. So wow. I think they're getting up early to go to that and all that as well. I think that last time that'll happen. Well, I guess not, because I guess Oregon and Washington will be playing each other.
They're keeping
the Big Ten. But yeah, I think that'll be a fun time, right?
That'll be the best time. The best time. Wow.
Yeah. All right, Andy, we got 3 more. All right. Kenyon. This team gives me brain pain. Every week is so different from the last. Offense drops 40. Defense smells like Embarcadero. Oh, could not be more right.
You don't think this is giving? That's what I'm saying. This has to be giving Wilcox migraines, dude. It's like freaking whack-a-mole over here. Offense, all right. Fine, you're good. Defense, damn it. What the hell? Special teams, what?
Yeah, special teams just broke the machine. Like the power just went out.
Yeah.
That's basically what just happened.
Yeah. Special teams, just like all the moles came up at the same time. You're like, what the hell? I mean, yeah, can't get kickoffs going. I mean, Wilcox describing that. He's like, it's like, do you think it was our plan to kick it off to that guy? We literally practiced none of that. And it was the first thing, kicked it right to him. It's got to be so frustrating for him to have that happen. I mean, especially when you're practicing all week and it just not working. I mean, I do remember that back in the day with Giorgio and Vic, and we couldn't get a kicker that in the 2009 season that could kick it beyond like the 15-yard line on kickoffs. I don't know if you remember that, but it was a huge issue. And Giorgio was having a bunch of issues with it. I think in that Oregon game where we had the shot at upsetting them.
Yeah.
Up
in Autzen?
At home.
Was that?
He
was
false started on the field goal.
You're right.
But I think there was another game. Oh, God, was it Oregon State? There was the Oregon State game, which was the infamous play that featured like Riley. And in that game, we kicked a ball off, I believe, the last possession of this first half. We kicked it off and kicked it out of bounds, and they got it within field goal range.
Yeah.
And had they not, we would have been able to either kick a field goal to tie, I believe, instead of having to score a touchdown. It was a big issue, and it kept happening. We could not kick the ball beyond the 20. And then finally we brought in, I actually think it was, David, what's his last name? Oh my God. The guy that makes barbecue all the time. The kicker.
Oh, David Seawright.
Seawright came in. I think he was the one that was finally taking kickoff duties. And I don't know if he still makes barbecue food.
He does. Costco Grill Dad on Instagram. He's an influencer.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not like this is uncommon and hasn't happened before. And the frustration level I saw with Tedford, I just can't even imagine, because he was pissed about it. And we would practice it, and it was Pete Alomar, everybody's favorite.
Alomar.
Yeah, just a lot of Alomars being yelled. So I don't know. It's hard to not look at that scenario. That one has to be a negative to Wilcox. It just has to. He's got to own it.
Yep.
Like, you didn't hire a coach for it. It looks bad. You can get the whole team on it, but it's kind of like, dude, we already did this. We already had this problem. We had to do the same thing with the offense last year. And Wilcox is the type of coach, in my opinion, where you have to have good special teams.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be in rock fights and you're going to be in these games that are going to be close and you're never going to blow an opponent out necessarily, at least in conference, but you're never going to lose by all that much. Well, we've already seen it. Like, we lost to Auburn because of special teams, and we won against Arizona State because of special teams. Yep. So we've seen that has had a direct outcome on 2 games. So to go in and have a substandard special teams unit, I think that's a pretty big blemish on his record, because it's just simply like, you should have known better. And unless you were trying to believe that you were something that you just aren't. And that also happens all the time. Right? And that's but I mean, I thought like Nick's article today in Right for California, where he like pointed out the frequency of touchbacks.
Yep.
And how bad Cal is.
Yep. Really, really bad.
That's pretty damning to be getting that in year 7. So I think to all the people out there that do write those comments, it's year 7. I mainly disagree with all of them, except for if you were referencing these mistakes, because I really think that this shouldn't be, especially at Cal. It's like, it shouldn't be hard to recruit a good kicker. It shouldn't be hard. Not that we don't have any. I think but it shouldn't be hard to have the talent and bring in a coach that could coach those players up. And for goodness sakes, I mean, we had Matt Anderson, dude. The guy was money. And we had our old dude kicking against us at Arizona State.
Yeah.
That was tough. I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, he can make field goals.
But we did make field goals. Mateen looks good.
Mateen looks good,
But
but it doesn't matter because like, who's on kickoffs? Because we can't kick it off.
it's Mateen who's kicking off right now, and I
Right,
don't think
so
I
it's
don't think
like-
he has the leg for kickoffs.
Mateen's messing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One step forward, another step back.
Yep. Yeah. Brain pain.
Yeah, brain pain. One thing before we move on to these final two, we didn't talk about this when we were talking about the Oregon State game, but can we just have a moment to laugh of Jonathan Smith's decision to onside kick it that early in the game? Just,
Dude, it almost worked.
do you think so?
I do. I mean, our player, he made
Ryan McCullough
great-
made an amazing catch.
If he doesn't make that, that's their ball. I thought I saw that and was like, damn, that was one player making a great play. You look at Wilcox, I don't know.
I don't
He
think.
looked
Yeah,
up-
they didn't expect it. That's for sure.
They did not expect it,
Yeah.
and they saw him lined up 15 yards back. I don't know, man. I thought we got away with. I thought it was a bold, but that's what I mean. I mean, that's like the full circle to what I was talking about at the beginning. I wish we were doing some of that. When Arizona State comes out here and goes for it on literal every fourth down possible, they're doing anything they can to win the game. And yes, you could lose the game doing that, but they're at least going all in.
You know,
And I wish that we had gone all in this game because it turned out to be gettable.
yeah. Look, I think the point I'll make to that before we move on is Wilcox's answer to that thing about fourth downs at Arizona State, right, was he was saying they went for it on fourth down and there needs to be repercussions for you going for it on fourth down.
Yes.
Like we
Yes.
need to score off of that, right? If
Yes.
that's his answer to that, I think his mantra is more, let's let them make the mistake of going for it on fourth down or trying to onside kick, and we're going to reap
Yeah.
the benefits of them deciding to do that. We need to punish them for them wanting to do that, not us take that gamble and put it in their hands potentially.
Yeah, I think that's very true and a really good call out. The only issue I would have with that is that I think the game has evolved, and like that goes back to like the NFL point where I understand that mindset, but I think ultimately you have to evolve with it. I don't know how long you can just be the one that's like, yeah, that's going to be their mistake. Because to that point, Oregon State was in such good position during this game on third and fourth down where they could continually go for it, and we never punished them for it.
Yeah. That's the thing. We never punished them for them going for it on fourth down. That was
Yeah.
the kicker with this one.
Yep.
All right, we got two more. One from Tyler Halleck. Says, we look out-coached on the defensive side. Each year under Sherman as DC, the defense has regressed. Defense in 2021 ranked 33rd. 2022 was 79th. 6 games through 2023, and we're 103rd. Defensive coaching staff needs an overhaul. On a positive note, happy to have a QB1 finally.
Yeah, I mean, we could just like, I don't know, dude.
We've rehashed this a bunch, but yeah,
I kind of agree. I don't know. Like the DeRuyter, I miss DeRuyter. That's it. I miss DeRuyter.
full stop.
Yeah. I don't disagree. The defense has gotten, there's no excuses here. To your point, it's the most talented defense we've had at Cal in a long, long time. And dude, we have, to the stat that I stole from you, we have 0 sacks in conference play. That's a fireable offense. 0. Why why can we not recruit O-line and D-line? I do not get it. I do not understand. O-line, you get to go to one of the best universities in the world on the West Coast, the beautiful weather. Like Stanford does it. It makes no sense to me. I do not understand what. And like Wilcox coach at Wisconsin, and then on the D-line side, I mean, the fact that we haven't been able to get in somebody to this team that has been a true like Von Miller type of guy. I do not understand.
Yeah.
I do not get it. And I think and if we're not going to get those guys, then we have to scheme in order to create that pressure on a quarterback. Whatever the hell we were thinking we were doing against DJ, dude, he was just standing there. And to your point, yeah, he made NFL level throws. The defense was good. But what you always tell me at all these games, and I always give you a big shake of my head, is offense is going to beat the best defense, right? A better offense will always beat.
Good offense always beats great defense.
And that's because the offense has the ability to innovate.
Yep.
And then the defense has to catch up.
Yep.
Is my understanding.
Yep.
So at some point, I don't know. It was just frustrating watching. There's nothing, like, we're just getting no pressure on the quarterback. We're not doing anything differently. We used to have all these disguises and all these things that would. I think we've been really. The crazy thing is we've been fortunate defensively this year.
Yeah.
How many turnovers have we created? A ton.
Bunch. But not enough in conference play.
And you can't necessarily plan on that. So we're really not at all the shutdown defense that we need to be. When you look back at this coaching era, one of the big questions is bringing in Sermon, losing Gerald Alexander, and then you have Tim DeRuyter leave as well. I mean, DeRuyter never stays at a program for more than 2 years, so I don't know if he was necessarily down to like kick it for a long time. But those were far and away different looking defenses than what we saw. We have to hope that we do get a 2021, because I am curious, Rob, I think we ended 21 really well defensively. I seem to remember like us getting better and better and better and better.
Yep.
What do you think?
I think you're right. I think it's been mostly very fundamental based defenses. And the fundamentals have let us down to start the year. That's ultimately what it feels like.
It's like kind of boring, but it can work.
That's what I mean.
But
if your fundamentals are executed perfectly on paper, that means that you're hitting the right gaps, you're making the right coverages, you're taking the right tackling angles, which in essence means your defense is stopping their offense, right? But if you're not doing those fundamentals correctly, or you're behind, or your judgment's off, or your tackling angles a few steps to the right or to the left, and that results in a broken tackle or a broken play, that's what's happening here, in my opinion. That's what you're giving up.
So anyone else out there is going to say, or a lot of people out there are going to say, why would you give Wilcox the ability to hire a new D coordinator if this season ends up being 4-8?
Yeah,
they're not going to want the Wilcox to hire a new D coordinator. That's the sad reality of it.
I mean, the other side of that argument is, look what he got Spav and he fixed the offense. Can he do it again on the defensive side?
The thing for Wilcox this year is he has to fix the defense in this season.
Yeah, mid-season.
Yeah, and he should be able to do it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd be lying if I felt okay with what I was watching against Washington and against Oregon State. And even against Idaho, to be totally honest.
Yeah. I just have to keep telling you during the Idaho, it's only the first quarter. Relax. All right. Yeah. We got one from Sid here again. This one from 8 hours ago, so not from last week. Main takeaways: Mendoza looked really good. Tough schedule, but I think we are going to upset somebody. Maybe SC. Let me dream. I just want to be consistent on both sides of the ball. In your opinions, what needs to change in order to be consistent on both sides of the ball? Good Lord, we literally just answered that about the defense. That's crazy.
I honestly think I like the SC upset call. I mean, they should
keep it competitive at the very least.
Yeah, I'm all in on that game. I'm so excited for the SC game and clearing the schedule and all that good stuff. So, I think SC is a really good shot. We tend to play Oregon tight, but I don't think I can't see us winning that game right now, as they have looked so good. And they also have like the type of team that seems to really bother us,
which is offensive lines and defensive lines that can destroy us.
Yeah. So I'm like, not really. I think SC is a really good call. I mean, Washington State would be an upset as well, just based on.
Yep. Well, UCLA at this point is an upset too, just because they're ranked now.
I think UCLA is a very winnable game as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. They looked amazing against Washington State this weekend. But... Okay. Oh, wait. It looks like I missed one. There is one last one from Nelly Pins on Twitter. Why not have Luckhurst kickoff? Honestly, don't know, but it would make sense. Maybe we see that this week.
Fully in on that.
Yeah. Why did Sermon and Ott leave the game, and what's up? I think both of them got hurt. We're recording this on Monday. Wilcox's presser is Tuesday mornings, so we'll get an update on Tuesday. Can we fire the dad and keep the son, or Sermon coaches special teams and Wilcox runs the defense? I don't know. I don't think Sermon's ever coached special teams.
I love that. Hey, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Special teams for you, sir.
Oh God. And one comment from him: we could run the ball more. We could run the ball more. Our backs are fire.
Yeah, I mean, like the perfect example of that was the 4th down opening drive.
Yep.
We went pass. Like, why?
Yeah.
All I hear in my head is Nam somewhere, either writing, yelling, I don't know, telegramming in, run the damn ball, Jake.
Yeah. We'll never know. We're not in those headsets. But that's pretty much it for us on the Golden Bearcast here. You can find us on Twitter at Golden Bearcast. You can email us goldenbearcast@gmail.com. You can find all the written stuff at rightforcalifornia.com. This week, we have a watch party going on at Tokyo Beer at noon for the Utah game. So the ticket link is up on Right for California. I believe the food vendor this week is a Filipino food vendor. So get all your adobo and lumpia in while you watch the game with all of us. And fingers crossed, knocking on wood, all the good stuff for a Mendoza upset on the road in Salt Lake City at Rice-Eccles. I think that's it, Andy. What do we say as always?
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Despite the unshakable Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivalry, there is one thing Iowa State and University of Iowa fans can both agree on: getting hyped for Unleaded 88. It's cleaner burning and better for your engine, and it's cheaper than other fuel options, making Unleaded 88 the clear fuel choice. If Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivals can agree on it, you know it's worth the hype. So pump it up with Unleaded 88, grown by Iowa corn farmers.